Hi everyone, I'm back. Okay, I have to tell you a secret. I actually don't watch The Real Housewives of New Jersey anymore, but I used to. It literally used to be like one of my favorite shows in the whole world. I miss Carolyn Manzo so much, and after she left, I pretty much stopped watching because she seemed to be like the only voice of reason in that entire group. And they just kept bringing in all these women that I just wasn't down with. And then the whole Teresa fighting with Melissa all the time. I was like, I can't do this anymore. This is too much. But I have been following secretly the saga that's been going on with Teresa and Joe Giudice. They are apparently, this story's crazy. So if you remember, Joe and Melissa, no, that's the other couple. Joe and Teresa were convicted of bank and wire fraud and mortgage fraud. And Teresa served 15 months in prison, and Joe just served 41 months in federal prison. And this was all designed around a mortgage scheme where the couple took out mortgages against properties that were fraudulent, and they used that to fund their lifestyle. They got into a whole lot of trouble federally. They lost a ton of their properties. It pretty much ruined them financially. And basically, when they were convicted of these charges, because they have 4 daughters, Gia, Melania, Gabriella, and Adriana, the judge allowed them to have the parents serve concurrently or consecutively. So Teresa was the first to serve her sentence, and she did that in 2015. And then when she was released, Joe went into federal prison. But the crazy part of this that I've never understood is somehow in the middle of all of this, Joe somehow never becomes a citizen of the United States, which is so wild to me. Because Joe Giudice has lived in the United States since he's been 1. His parents are both citizens and all of his siblings are citizens. But for some reason, no one in the family got him citizenship. So he'd been living in the United States as sort of like a resident alien. He was here legally, he wasn't here illegally. He just had never gone through the full step of becoming naturalized citizen. He was born in Italy, but again, had been living here since he's been 1 year old. He had never had a passport. He didn't have a social security card. If he did, I was reading it's so hard for me to comprehend because even the family can't even explain why this didn't happen. And then why as he got older, why he didn't do this. And then he gets convicted of what's called a felony against the federal government, which is considered, and the felony is considered moral turpitude or turpitude, meaning that the felony is so great against the government that because he's not a naturalized citizen here, they will deport him to his country of origin, which is Italy, but he's literally lived in the United States his whole life. I can't even fathom how confusing this must be, because now he's going back to Italy and he can't he's been fighting with ICE, and he's been fighting with the immigration component of the United States government to try to get it overturned. But the government, after he was released from prison for his 41-month prison sentence, he actually was put into ICE detention, and he had been in ICE detention, had requested to be released home to New Jersey, where he shares a home with his wife Teresa and his 4 daughters, and they denied it. And then he put in a second request to have him become released to Italy, which the government recently approved after he applied for it in September. And so he was actually released from custody on Friday, and he got on a plane and went to Rome and met with his mother, Sheila, and his brother. Mind you, he's never lived in Italy. This is how? If you're his mom, that's literally the worst mistake you could make as a parent, is having all your kids naturalized except for 1 kid. And then that 1 kid, of course, commits a felony that gets him deported. I don't even understand how this is even possible. Anyways, before he went into prison, he was pretty meaty. He was beefy. He was a really solid meatball. I mean, he was roly-poly. He was a big, thick guy that loved to drink wine. There was all kinds of jokes that he was kind of a drunk. People made comments that he was constantly drinking. And in the time leading up to him going to prison, he was often seen on the show with alcohol. And now it's like they posted Gia, his daughter Gia, and his mother Sheila posted some photos on Instagram, and he's literally unrecognizable. I had to do a double take because Joey the meatball is completely gone, and he looks like, I don't even know. He doesn't even look like Joe. Okay, so here he is. That's Joe with his brother, and they're in Italy. And his mother wrote, "A day we've all been patiently waiting for. Pete and Joe reunited at last. Smiles bigger and brighter than the sky. Our hearts are so full." And then after that, his daughters shared this photo on Instagram of him in a kitchen. I don't know if he's got some sort of, he's got grapes in his hand and he looks like he has wine. Joe definitely loves the wine. And then Gia posted this earlier today, which is his oldest daughter who recently just went to college, and says, "So happy you're together right now. Enjoy. See you in a few weeks, Daddy." Like, he doesn't even look like the same guy. Like, there's that photo again. And this is the Joe when Gia was little, and this was FaceTime with you soon, Daddy. Teresa posted a crying Statue of Liberty on the day that he was released from ICE detention. And then she went and did pumpkin stuff with her youngest daughter, Adriana, it looks like. And here are the four girls. So you've got Teresa there in the middle, all in the white. The one with the shirt, the short white dress, the taller one, that's Gia, her oldest. Next to Gia is Melania. Next to the little one next to Teresa is Adriana, and then Gabriella is next to Adriana. So she was pregnant with Adriana when I started watching New Jersey Housewives. That's how crazy it is. And she's 10 now. And Gia recently just graduated from high school. And that was them celebrating for her leaving for high school or for college. And so according to People, it says Teresa is in great spirits. She's very happy that Joe's out of ICE and grateful that her girls can FaceTime him to see him and talk to him so easily now. The kids have missed their father so much and now that he's free, it feels like a weight has been lifted off them. They're ready to turn the page and start this new chapter. And they said that Joe's mood has changed too. He's much happier than he has been in the past few months, but know this, no one wants this as their normal. Teresa and the girls and Joe will all want Joe home in Jersey. They're praying he wins the appeal to come back. So again, there's Joe. So the crazy thing to me is, first off, he doesn't look like a beefy meatball anymore. I mean, he was like pudgy and roly-poly, like thick dude. And, Teresa would always be like, she'd always talk about how like attractive he was, and I never saw it. And it had nothing to do with his like meatball status. It was more just like he was not my type. And now it's like he doesn't even look the same. I can't even recognize him. I swear to God. Apparently 4 years or just over 3 years in prison and some time in ICE detention has had him lose some weight, probably because he's not like drinking or eating as much as he had. He seemed to be the kind of guy that was like eat and drink and be merry kind of guy. He seemed to have that same type of thought process when it came to spending money. If you remember, when they first introduced this couple to the show, they were building their McMansion in New Jersey, and it was so opulent, and they were so tacky, and they were paying for everything in cash. I mean, she was like throwing down so much money, and everyone initially in that first season was like, where the hell do they get this money? Because Joe was apparently like some pizzeria owner or like did some property development stuff, but no one could ever really say what Joe got the money from. Turned out he was ripping off the banks and doing wire fraud, doing the scheme with Teresa where he was having her sign documents. So there's been a lot of questions like, what will happen with Teresa and Joe if he has to stay in Italy? Well, Teresa has been on Bravo in like the reunions saying that like if he does end up being deported and he can't live in Italy, like he can't come back to the United States, that she would divorce him because she doesn't want to uproot her daughters and move them to Italy because none of them are from there, and they all are like in Gia's, well, Adriana is probably like in 5th grade, and then the other two girls are in high school. So it's like, or middle school, high school. So I don't even know, like, they don't know the language. It would be completely, I can understand why she would do that, right? And then she says, I'm not doing long distance. He'll probably cheat on me. I'll probably, I just know there'll be other women. And she's been spotted since he's been in prison with a guy named Blake quite a bit. There's been speculation that he is her boyfriend. She has denied it multiple times, says that it's her best friend. Everyone that's close to her has said it's her best friend. They've had photos snapped of them getting kind of cozy, putting their arms around each other, holding hands. Hard to know. There hasn't been a lot of photos of them kissing, so without that, it would be hard to say what's going on there. But she has also said that it would be really hard to forgive him for everything that happened in the last 5 years because of the choices. And she fully blames him for everything that happened, saying that she didn't understand what it was she was signing. She sort of put it all on Joe. And Joe sort of took the fall for that and said it was him. She knew nothing. I don't know about that. I never knew if I believed that at all. But anyways, I guess I can't blame her if she wanted to divorce him after all of this. But I still think it's kind of sucky for him that like his parents failed to get him citizenship. And now he's like in Rome and he doesn't speak Italian and he's never lived there. Can you imagine? Oh, hey, you committed a felony. Now you have to go back to your home country, but you literally have been in the United States since you were 1. Word to the wise, if you come to the United States, make sure you get your citizenship and your naturalization papers so that this doesn't happen. Don't be like Joe. All right, you guys, I want to know if you are as surprised to see the way he looks like as I am. And if you like meatballs, that's totally fine. My meatball status with him, again, nothing to do with his size, more like he was just meaty. And now he's like, looks very thin. And he actually looks good. He looks younger, to be frank. He looked older before. So hopefully he keeps up with that, doesn't get in bad habits like he was in before, but he's still fighting to come back to the United States. I was reading a report earlier today that said it's unlikely, being the fact that he was granted the release to Italy, that he would actually win at this point. And it's more probable that this will lead to him not being allowed back in the United States for 10 years. You guys, again, if you're here as a resident alien, do not be like Joe. Get your naturalization papers shored up and become a citizen. All right, I'll let you know more as the story develops, but this one was fun for me to see Joe after such a long time. Bye, guys.